for the polling staff, the presiding officer, to take photo of the result reconciliation form, which will be signed by him or her in the presence of political parties, and they even have provision for them to also sign. And the copy of that is given to political parties, and then the photo of the original is taken and sent through our system to our servers, just for the record and administrative purposes. But for the tally, we are doing the same procedure we had followed, and then we have electronic backup, which we might compare if there are any issues. So these are the key issues which we have been, All People's Congress have been raising, which we have discussed severally before even their demand for us to resign if we don't address these concerns. So we are happy that yesterday they have accepted the voter register we gave them since 8th of this month, containing the names and photos of all registered stations and centers, other than what they recently requested for us to provide the biometric details, all personal information, which we had refused to provide in because of obvious reasons, including protection of personal data and including misuse of this data to create problems on the polling day. So in the nutshell, the commission, we are set. Going forward, for the next electoral cycle, we are not going to conduct by-elections because we are using the PR system. And therefore, the law gives us the power to do continuous voter registration, which means during the electoral cycle, we will be doing continuous updates of the voter register, especially taking the background of the issues relating to the voter registration process, which we have a data and information as far back as 2016. We need to update those records with new photos of qualified Sierraleoneans. So this is going to be part of our engagement with donor partners. I was just discussing with my sister here in Liberia that we can jointly even pool our resources to be doing continual voter registration updates instead of waiting for every 4 or 5 years for us to do voter registration. So we can come together, pool our human resources, put logistics together. We can also pull together logistics for even printing of ballots in this Mano River Union, which will make it easier as long as we have a secure and transparent environment for us to do this. Because some countries, we have seen some countries like Rwanda, they have a printer that prints their ID cards, ballot papers. For this election, previously our register used to be printed outside, but for this election, we printed our register in our offices. So if we have done that, it's a very good starting point to start looking forward. And then we hope tomorrow will be peaceful, and when we announce the results, it will be accepted, and everybody will jubilate SAFU, as we say, SAFU elections. Yeah. If you have further questions, you can ask them and then clarify. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate you taking the time to speak with us. I know it must be busy on the eve of the election. There's a lot of demands, but really appreciate it. I had a question on the PR system. Do you feel that most citizens will know what to expect when they come to vote, right? Because they'll be looking at different, we've seen your videos you've put out, but do you feel that enough has been done on the civic education part that folks are really prepared? Or do you think there could be confusion when folks come and collect their ballot papers and they go, wait a minute, which one am I voting? Like, do you think, because I saw you're color coded as well, but I'm just curious your thoughts on that. Obviously, you're doing the best that you absolutely can within the time frame you had to educate, but just curious if that's also, if moving forward with that staying, will there be more effort also to continue that?
Yeah, basically we did, as you mentioned, we did our best under the circumstances to ensure that we do comprehensive voter education. The funding we receive from ECOWAS, we use that to recruit over 30 civil society organizations that we train on the PR system and other voting education, and we deploy them. But as I mentioned to other institutions, other delegates, political parties are not helping in terms of voters' education. We explain to them the calculation, the procedure for allocation of seats. We're expecting that they will use that to also educate their bases or their supporters. But rather, of the last 1 or 2 weeks has all been on ECSL. So the messaging that was supposed to have been done to the voters, in terms of the political parties, has always been based on getting people to vote for them, which are explaining how are you going to vote for me, and if you vote for me, what percentage of the votes that will be representing the number of representation in parliament or at the council. However, given our history, political history, Sierra Leone, it's difficult for third party to prevail. Many have come 1 year, they will be very vibrant. By the time we get into the end of the electoral cycle, they are no longer existing. So people have used to these two traditional parties, either the red sun or the green palm tree. So they are not normally looking out for the faces, but they are just looking for the symbols. So they only look for these symbols and then cast their votes wherever they want to vote. So I think that's the positive side of it in terms of their voting, because they are not looking for majority of Sierraleoneans, especially in the provinces. They only look for these two symbols and they cast their votes. So that's the issue. But we think going forward, without being apprehensive of the institution, they can also be very much used for political parties. They can add value to the voter education. On our part, we've done what we could, and we have explained the procedure of allocation of seats to political parties who are much more interested in the allocation of seats based on their votes they receive at the poll. But it will continue on the polling day tomorrow on polling day, when the voters arrive, we have 2 sets of ballots. The first presidential and parliamentary. They will tell you this is for presidential, this is for parliamentary. When you cast, you go and receive another set of ballots for the council chair and the councillors. So that makes it easier. Yeah.
I'm just curious to know from you, because I know part of the issue has been political parties around making sure that the votes that are casted are counted in their words. What's the assessment of political party representation in terms of observation? Have you guys been able to credit sufficient of them based on their request to be present at the polls, and how much information is out to the public? Because sometimes political parties give out information that they already have, but they give out wrongly, which tend to put citizens sometimes at the way they perceive the electoral commission. So I just wanted to know where.
We have printed over 90-something thousand accreditations, and each political party that participates in this election in their districts, we have dispatched all the accreditation for their agents. Each station is required, a party is required to send 2 representatives, 1 at a time. Not the 2 of them will be present. One will be there, and then if he or she gets tired, then it will be replaced by the other. So each political party has been accredited 2 accreditation per station. In addition, I've just approved for their executive to be given at least 10 per district, so that they will move around if they have to supply food or whatever to their accredited agent to also be given to services to them. So we have accredited, and as you rightly mentioned, politicians are now used to that. One of them just called me a few minutes ago, claiming that they have not received the accreditation. And then I called my district returning officer. He showed me the receipt. Somebody has gone there to pick it up. So I got back to him. This is the person who I've just received there. He started laughing. So this is how these guys behave. You know, they always want to show that they are. So, but that's we have gotten used to that. So they are well represented. The major parties, the other parties, all of them are collecting their accreditation as we speak.
So I know you still, just as part of looking forward, if you were to talk to us as International Republican Institute about where you want to see the EC in the next 2 years, some of the critical reforms that you would want to see and you want to push through before maybe in the next 2 years, what would that be?
Wow. What would that be?
I just want to survive the next few days.
If we survive the next few days and we learn the lessons,
This is the strong commission.
yeah, we learn the lessons from what we've learned over the past few years. We want to move into developing a stronger base of the voter register, because that's crucial. There had been a plan for us to link to the National Civil Registration Authority, because the law says they can provide data to us. But that has created some level of inconvenience for the ECSL, because for instance, one of the evidence the All People's Congress presented that we have a voter register with photos of minors, but forgetting to point out that these photos were taken 5-6 years ago. At the time, these kids were minor in terms of voting age, but by these elections, they are of voting age. But because the NCRA did not update the photos to the current photo of these voters, we have seen the old photo given to us when we were doing the voter registration verification. So for us, that's going to be our project going forward, because we now have the law to do continuous voter registration. And in that process, we can use the opportunity to update photos, to update other details. So we'll not wait until 5 years before we go back to start looking for. And there is a starting point in terms of the system we developed was developed by Laxing in the Australia company, and then we have some number of laptops. And so that's where we're saying the two countries can come together to see if we can have a structure in place, either to have our own printing, have our own system that we can do the voter registration. And there's so many lessons we will share after the elections that we don't need to wait. We'll give ourselves 6 months. By next year, we'll start implementation of the reform that is required.
Thank you.
So, anything you want to add?
So I think we're hopeful that tomorrow will be, by and large, peaceful. But in the event there are pockets, let's say, of some frustrations and unrest, what has the EC done in planning for that? Are your commissioners coordinating with local authorities to help manage and mitigate that, or what is the plan around that? I mean, we hope nothing comes to that sort, but curious.
Yeah, we work closely with the security sector. I also attend the security sector committee meetings. So there they have put in place their plans. They have also done, before 6 months ago, they have done risk assessment, security threat assessment, and the deployment. They have been very much, supportive in terms of our deployment. We're going to have security at polling stations, not closer to the polling centers, but within the vicinity. And they will be having mobile team if there are any issues. And we hope there will be no problem. And the law says if there are cancellation, one of the reasons we can cancel the result if violence occur. And if the impact of that violence or the outcome of that result will not negatively affect the outcome of the global result, we can take out that aspect and still proceed the announcement of results. However, I think nerves have now been calm, And I'm sure there's going to be a huge turnout for people to participate. But we hope there will be no violence. But if it occurs, as long as the impact is not grave on the outcome, global outcome of the process, we can assess and then we take the right decision.
Yeah, just a couple of questions. And then first one, I also thank you for letting us borrow your colleague in Nigeria for the NGI or IOM. And I think one of the benefits of experiences like that is the lessons learned and the sharing of experiences between, particularly in West Africa. And one of the things that sort of we noticed there, and we don't expect this, but in the event of delayed openings in polling stations, is there a provision for extended time? So in Nigeria, there was, that was 8 to 2, it was a shorter period of time. You guys at least have it extended from 7 to 5, which gives more time. But is there provision for any situation where there's a disruption in the start, the opening of the polling units, to be able to allow people the time to be able to cast their vote? And then the second question was on transportation. You mentioned that the physical ballots themselves will be transported physically. We had some issues in Nigeria where there were ad hoc INEC staff that were stuck in polling units and were waiting, and no vehicles ever came. In one case, a party agent vehicle drove them to, so obviously not an ideal situation, but just a couple of what provisions you guys have in place for circumstances like that.
For us, we have learned a lot in terms of movement of material and staff, and that was tested during the voter registration period. We were able to deploy all our staff and open the centers on time, and that's the reason, because of the climatic condition at this point, we had started the transportation of non-sensitive material, and they are all now at the nearest point of polling. Today, because of the sensitivity of ballot papers, these ones they have sorted everything by center. The work coordinator will start movement today, if they have not already started. So by tomorrow, by evening, they will be deployed in their station. How we did it, we learned from the last elections. We used to give a contract for hiring of vehicles to 1 or 2 individuals across the country. So that created a problem. So for this election, we decided that we will not give more than 2 districts to individuals. So for this election, we decentralized the transportation arrangement, and every vendor or supplier will not deliver the vehicles here, but they will deliver directly at their district level. So the contract starts from our offices at district level. And then in addition to that, we also made arrangement with the military. They provided us 32 trucks. And then in addition, we also added another private truck to help in the transportation of materials and stuff. And there are a lot of other areas, riverine areas, which also affect the movement. In addition, we've also provided funding for hiring of the local boats. There's also certain areas that are not motorable, where you can use the motorbike. We've also provided funding for that, for our staff to be able to move with materials. So from the district level to the ward level, from the ward level to the centers, we have provided transportation depending on the means of transport in those areas. We have also provided additional transportation arrangement for movement of retrieval of results, because that also is crucial. After the counting certification, we need to retrieve the result as early as possible. So we provided additional transportation, standby motorbike for how to reach area that will be accompanying the material. So that's the arrangement we have put in place, and that's why we are confident that majority of the centers will be open on time tomorrow. So if we still have people that have not voted, like what happened in Nigeria, that's why we say, as long as you are in the queue, we will allow you to vote. And if circumstances like this is rainy season, also prevents people from casting their votes, then we'll assess that if it's a possibility to avoid probably destruction if we continue until night, if we can, come up with statements to say all those areas gravely affected, the commission can take decision whether to continue the ballots or the voting the next day. But majority of our centers actually are placed in schools and local court barriers. These are part of the consideration so that we have most of the ballots, most of the centers placed in places that are covered a little bit.
Thank you.
Maybe I can just ask
Yeah.
just two quick questions on it. So I was curious about the process for assisted voters. So when voters go to the polls that maybe can't see, need help walking, is that the assisted voter, is that the ECSL, the presiding officer, or are they able to sort of bring a companion to sort of help them? This is an interesting one for me. I worked in Mozambique in the 2019 election. So the indelible ink, it goes on the left index finger, is that correct? So what happens if an individual doesn't have a left index finger? That's something that came up in Mozambique, which is just something that interests me. So I'd be curious to that. And then I just had a question about, so with the runoff as a potential reality, what is sort of the ECSL's sort of preparations? I'm not familiar with what's the timeline for the runoff, and are you prepared to sort of try to remobilize voters to go out a second time during a runoff? So, thank you.
All right. Yeah, we have printed tactile ballots for assisted, those that we need, so the blind or disabled, and our staff have been trained. We've also trained even the disabled people in their rights and how to go about. When we're doing this, we have special training. We now have a department of inclusion who is leading in that regard. So we have provided enough training. Some of them were even part of our voter education approach, where they train and supported their members on how to use the tactile ballots. So the tactile ballots, we've identified where required, where we have these people, and we will also develop, provide funding from the UNDP, pranks, RAMs at some centers, which will assist those who cannot, effectively move, so that they will be assisted. And most importantly, our staff, we've trained them to be observant and respectful to the aged, and to give them special preference, the aged disabled, once they get to the station. So part of the responsibilities of the queue controllers we have at the center is not only to direct the abled, but also to direct and assist the disabled during the polling day. And we hope the trainings and all the learnings we've embedded on them, they will be able to practice, because observers will be there to see whether, as they say, the best preparation normally will not survive the first shots at the war front. So, but we hope it will go well. The other issue is the indelible ink. We got support from India. Our counterparts in India, they provided us the indelible ink. We've tested that, and it lasts for more than 2 days, even 3 days. So we have a procedure for those with such situation, and the alternative available means will be applied. If you don't have your left finger, you can use the right finger. Yeah, so that's the thing. We are flexible in this respect. Runoff is part of our law. You either get 55% or you go into the runoff with the two best candidates. So we have made provision in terms of financial budgets. The law is 2 weeks after the announcement of the first round. So 2 weeks after any time I announce the results, we should be going to the polls. And therefore, the logistical budget the funding is available from the government. So it will be just a matter of the recruitment and redeployment of staff, printing of ballot papers, it's part of the contingency budget arrangement with the supplier of the ballots. We're not going to do fresh bidding procedure. The same vendor will provide the service if we require that.
And they can do that within that time frame?
Yes. Yeah. Because they already now have the templates, the candidates, the parties, so it's just about a matter of taking the 2 best candidates and produce the ballots, which can be, we printed these ballots for this election in South Africa, and then the printing was done less than 24 hours. The ballots flew from South Africa to here, and I'm sure they can print the ballots within a week, so we'll be able to do that.
Well, I think we've achieved what we came to listen to you for.
Thank you.
Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
We're always available as part of your partners to support. So whenever you need us, I'm here. So just call and we'll come over and listen.
Well, thank you so much to the government and people of, as we say to the Chinese, the government and peoples of the US. So what I mentioned the last time when I met with the delegation, say I wish Sierra Leone, the APC and the SLTV also have their own NGOs or their own external institutions that will promote democracy. Because we have support from NDI, and then we have support from IRI on the same electoral activity. So that's the beauty of democracy. So thank you so much for the support, and we're looking forward for more coordination, post-election plans and implementation. Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Yeah. We can take photos out there. Yes, Commissioner of Commentary.
Yes. Picture.
You can take this one.
Over there.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.